Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. We got another Bill Maher clip to talk about today. I'm going to open this video by saying, they still don't get it. The copium is so incredibly strong with these people. Levels of copium never seen before. Everything is falling apart. We went from 2020, where Democrats were praising young people for supposedly saving the world from evil orange fascism. We went from that being the narrative to now young people ditching the Democrat Party in droves, and left-wingers are scratching their heads, unable to understand why. Why is it happening? I don't get it. How is Donald Trump leading Joe Biden with young voters? Well, according to this left-wing political analysis on Bill Maher's show, it's apparently the media's fault. You cannot make this stuff up. The delusion, the denial is just so insane. We're going to get into it. We're going to have a conversation. But this video is actually brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's first play that clip. This video is brought to you guys by our friends at American Hartford Gold. Folks, we're facing uncertain times. It's been a real rocky 3 years. Politicians have a spending problem, printing endless trillions, then of course leaving you the tab in the form of inflation, the most insidious tax of all. The cost of goods and services continues to rise, and during times like this, one of the best ways to protect your hard-earned cash is by investing in physical assets. In this case, precious metals, gold and silver. That's where American Hartford Gold comes into play, the highest rated gold company in America, with gold prices through the roof once again hitting an all-time high, currently at almost $2,200 an ounce. Now's the time to give them a call. With one phone call, they could deliver physical gold and silver straight to your doorstep, or they'll have it delivered directly into your 401k or IRA. And best of all, you could take advantage of the current promotion, where you could receive up to $5,000 of free silver on qualifying first orders. All you need to do is call 844-440-1005. Again, that's 844-440-1005, or text Hivemind one word to 65532. That's 65532. As usual, a huge thank you to American Hartford Gold, always protecting us from the insidious tax of inflation. Alright friends, so Kellyanne Conway was on Bill Maher's show the other day, and of course, as we know, if Kellyanne Conway is a part of the conversation, well then you know it's gonna be a good one. Just take a look at this as she sets this guy straight real fast.
But on the issue of war in Israel, he is in a solid position, at least when it comes to public opinion.
Well, I work for the most pro-Israel president in American history, but look, I think that...
That's true.
He was very critical of Netanyahu.
That's true. It's not like Biden is not pro-Israel either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Which position is he today? But look, on the protesters, the White House didn't seem to mind it or matter much or say anything until the optics went against him. They're worried about the political fallout for Biden instead of the fact that these spoiled brats pretend it's about free speech, it's about free stuff. Bring me lotion and vegan food. They never once said release the hostages. They never are making demands that would actually help other people.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but that's not what we're talking about. Look, I am... This stuff is, I'm so incensed about some of this stuff because, when I read about the college loans,
yes.
I can't, where's the stat on this? Oh, Biden administration's student debt cancellation will cost a combined $870 billion to $1.4 trillion. That's a lot of debt forgiveness. Okay, so colleges constantly raise tuition. Then the kids take out more loans. Then the government comes by and pays those loans. Okay, so my tax dollars are supporting this Jew-hating?
No, you
I don't think
all the
so.
tents. No, I agree with you completely. Now people are really upset. By the way, it was never fair. You can't have plumbers and pipe fitters paying for the student loans of doctors and lawyers. It's not fair. And I'm all for the government trying to help people who need it, but he did that as a political play, and everybody knows it. He's bleeding young people's support.
It hasn't worked. If you look at issues that young people care about, Gaza is like 15th out of 16th, and the only thing that comes in lower than Gaza is student loan forgiveness. So it hasn't worked as a motivator for the youth vote, half of which are out there chanting Genocide Joe. So it's backfired, not just in terms of public policy, but in terms of the politics, too.
Yeah, Trump is winning the youth vote by, I think, 11 points.
According to CNN poll, yes.
That's pretty astounding to me.
It's a 42-point swing.
What do you make of that? You're closer to the youth.
What I make of that, a lot of it is, if you turn on your TV today, you see young people protesting, angry, fighting with cops. What you don't see is Donald Trump in a criminal trial. What you don't see is, one of his blue chip vice presidential candidates murdered a dog a week ago and is 2 weeks into talking about that story. All of these stories that could potentially be damaging for Republicans and help Joe Biden have fallen by the wayside because all of the attention is on these protesters and on these fights, on their behavior, and on the fact that a lot of people don't like what they see on the television. Biden was elected to push aside the chaos and the havoc of the Trump years. I think everybody can agree on that. It hasn't happened. You turn on your TV and you see what's going on these campuses. It hasn't happened. And that's one big reason why he's losing the vote. One big reason why he's
yes,
losing
chaos
the
and
vote.
crisis in the Trump administration, in a tweet, in a comment here and there. Now it's chaos and crisis everywhere we look, at the border, on our college campuses. By the way, in our halls of Congress, 31 Democrats voted against a resolution last October 18th to condemn Hezbollah and Hamas. And the resolution clearly said, Bill, that they were concerned about institutions of higher education allowing sympathies for Hezbollah and Hamas, which our own government, Biden's government, Trump's government, have declared terrorist groups. And they specifically said in there it was going to hurt, make uncomfortable, if not worse, Jewish students with all this anti-Semitism. That was October 18th. 31 Democrats, including the most well-known young ones, the squad that doesn't do squat, for example, all voted against that resolution.
Well, I couldn't agree more.
This is the problem with Biden. Respectfully, I don't think people care about other things than young people. When are young people, whether they're single or married, ever going to be able to afford their first home, get on with the accoutrements of adult life? This economy is hurting them.
Yeah, apparently the reason why Donald Trump is surging and Joe Biden is crashing beyond belief, especially with young voters, is the media's fault. Can we please get a facepalm? Yep, you heard that right. That is how delusional these leftists are. Well, it's because the media isn't doing what it needs to do to attack, smear, and destroy President Trump. They need to put more emphasis on the court cases and Kristi Noem murdering her dog. Oh man, my brain actually hurts. I mean, what an imbecile. Yeah, the media hasn't put enough emphasis on Kristi Noem and her dog. It's all I freaking see. They've brought her on for multiple interviews to explain and defend her actions. And again, what does that mean for young voters? Like, why is that relevant? It's a nothing story and it really has nothing to do with Donald Trump at all. But apparently, the reason young voters are ditching Biden is because the media isn't putting enough emphasis on this story. You gotta be kidding me. And then, of course, an even dumber comment, the reason Joe Biden's failing with young voters is because the media hasn't spent enough time covering the Trump indictments. We need to do it again. Please cue the facepalm. We've heard nothing else. It's been nothing but Trump indictment this, Trump outside the courtroom, Trump in court today, Letitia James addresses the press, Jack Smith's definitely gonna take him down this time, Fani Willis, my fake electors scheme, Donald Trump looks like a broken man, depressed and disheveled in court. It's been non-stop, day after day, endless live coverage and primetime coverage of the Trump trials and the Trump indictments in the most biased of fashion, and the whole thing has failed. But this Democrat analyst thinks that the failure comes from not enough press coverage. No, the failure comes from the press coverage. As all the information slowly trickles out, as the information flows and the American electorate becomes more and more aware of what's going on and the facts of the case, or rather the lack of facts in the case, they've realized how horribly corrupt it all is, and so it's been backfiring. And I think Kellyanne Conway's sarcastic response hit the nail on the head. Yes, chaos and crisis in the Trump administration in a tweet and in a comment every now and then. Meanwhile, there's actual chaos and crisis everywhere you look under the current leadership regime. The southern border.
Cuidado, ayuden a los niños. Mis amigos aquí en Irapuato, Guanajuato. Acá.
Just record amount of terrorists entering the nation, America's most beautiful cities completely overrun, with neighborhoods looking like shanty towns, economic hardships facing potential collapse, a currency crisis abroad in Ukraine and the Middle East, and of course now the crisis and chaos on university campuses, building on what we saw in 2020 as the left becomes a radical Hivemind mob that destroys everything in its path. The left-wing youth base has essentially become a collectivist organization justifying and defending terrorist action. That is concerning to a whole lot of people. Regardless of what you think about Israel, what you think about Palestine, the idea that anybody would be running defense, supporting, or justifying the actions of Hamas is simply unfathomable. Well, that's exactly what's happening with the radical left-wing base. And this element of radicalism has been boiling, it's been baking in the Democrat oven and the left-wing oven for a while. And now we're simply seeing an exodus. Young voters are looking around their college campuses, they're looking around their peer group, they're seeing what's happening on TikTok, they're taking the red pill. They're seeing American flags on their campuses be pulled down by radical, black-clad, masked extremists and replaced with Palestinian flags. That's extremely concerning to, I'd say, easily 70, 80, maybe 90% of the population. But no, that's not the issue. The fact that Joe Biden has been slow to condemn these young radicals, the fact that Joe Biden hasn't really even addressed it, just like he did back in the summer of riots of 2020 when it took him over 100 days to release a very simple message of, hey, let's not commit violence in our activism. No, that's not of concern at all. The problem is that the media isn't spending enough time covering the Trump trials. Holy moly, can we please play the face palm again? Copium, delusion, and a continued overlooking of this festering ugliness that has so clearly infected the left-wing body politic, that right there is the problem. Ironically enough, this guy's perspective, the analysis that he put forward, that's the problem. Anyways, hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully, of course, you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.